craggy coast and dark woods of the American North hide horrors from the past. The brutal settling of the untamed land claimed many victims, and even today, some seem reluctant to leave this world. Trapped spirits haunt one town hall in New Hampshire. Locals refuse to enter its doors alone, and never after dark. The police station of Alton, New Hampshire, was in the town hall basement. The chief, Thomas Mincewa, was on duty late at night when he heard it.
I heard noises and I came upstairs to investigate, and it sounded, because you could very distinctly tell, front door closing and opening, because it slammed, it was so heavy, and you could tell if somebody was walking in the hallway. And being downstairs, we would come upstairs to see who was in the building, because at the time the building upstairs was closed. And coming upstairs, you'd find no one.
Alton's town planner, Glenn McLean, is not the kind of man given to wild imagination. He's experienced it too.
You really start to feel like there's somebody right behind you. There are some physical things that happen. You feel your hair start to stand up on end. You feel that presence.
The local radio personality, Scott McKay, stayed in the town hall overnight. He thought to dispel the myth.
My impression coming in was one of skepticism, not too sure what I would find. I really didn't have a fixed thought on whether I believed in any supernatural or not. And when I left the next morning, I still wasn't too sure, but I do know that something happened.
And Alton's town historian, Judith Fry, is just about ready to include the ghost in official records.
I think it's happened too many times just to be a coincidence. I think there's really some merit in it.
It usually happens sometime after midnight. And it continues until 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. These are the hours of the Alton Town Hall ghost. By day, the old town hall is typical of any stately historic site you might find in a small town of New England. This one stands with town pride. Its 100th anniversary is coming up, and a celebration like Alton hasn't seen for many years is planned. Some townsfolk are wondering if the big event might stir something unexpected, even unwanted, in the old landmark. The people who live daily with the town hall ghost are certain about two things. It exists, and if you don't bother it, then it doesn't bother you. While the Alton Town Hall haunting seems unthreatening, no ghost story of recent times has had more credible or official witnesses. The people who believe it most fervently are the city officials and police. They live with it.
When you distinctly hear footsteps and you know them to be footsteps and hear the same type of noise and come up and not find anybody, check all the doors in the offices, find them all closed, and check the building and there's nobody there, makes you wonder.
There were a lot of times when things disappear. You go crazy looking for them because you're sure that they were where you left them. You look around, you can't find them, you come back, and they were where you left them. And you start asking yourself some questions.
A lot of the city employees who work in the town hall by day refuse to enter the building alone, and never after dark.
Good morning. I survived the night at the Alton Town Hall.
The radio announcer, Scott McKay, thought he was going to make fun of the whole affair when he stayed alone in the building overnight.
When I left with the last employee. She was going off to a class. I was going out to get something to eat before I came back to settle in for the night.
You locked the doors.
Locked it up. I had supposedly the only key that I know of.
Lights were out.
Everything was turned off except the entrance light.
Yet when he returned, everything had changed.
I came up to the room, all my stuff was gone. My whole gear, my sleeping bag, my knapsack. So I started looking around, came in this room here. Next thing I know, there it is in the judge's chair.
After finding his sleeping bag, he noticed his TV set was also gone.
After I retrieved my knapsack, I came over to the stairway here, and down at the bottom of the stairway was my monitor. Nothing wrong with it. It wasn't broken. It just looked like it had been placed down there.
All night long, he heard footsteps when no one was there, noises that no one was making, felt a presence that made his hair stand on end.
Even though I was lying here on the floor, supposedly alone in the building, something told me that I wasn't alone.
What he encountered was consistent with everything the police chief and his men had been quietly telling each other for years.
They would find lights on in the building as they drove past and turn around and come back to check them, and the lights would be out.
The sound of doors slamming has been a constant unexplained noise for anyone who stayed alone in the town hall after dark. The cell door in the old basement police station has been a sobering reminder that Alton's most famous building is never quite empty. And the dogs. The stories about the police dogs are what spooks the town planner Glenn McLean most of all.
The dog would want to respond to something upstairs. The officers on duty would take the dog upstairs and let the dog run. It would go down the main hall on the first floor of the building, hit the steps that lead to the second floor, go about 2 steps up and stop.
The question of whose spirit occupies the town hall has never been answered. One story is that a city elder responsible for the town clock long ago was killed in the tower. Another concerns a woman named Sarah Glidden. Like witches of old, she's buried beneath granite in the town cemetery. Some think her spirit has escaped.
In 1825, a lady by the name of Sarah Glidden, who was a resident of East Alton, was struck down on a clear day by lightning and was killed. This incident has been documented in the church record.
Whatever walks the corridors of Alton Town Hall at night, the townsfolk either don't want to know or don't want to disturb it.
I want to be on the record with the ghost as being respectful of it because I believe it is here.
With the town hall's big centennial celebration coming up, the people of Alton just hope the ghost enjoys a party.